Second feature was Dee Rees' Mudbound, which I have been looking forward to forever. I love Dee Rees. I've seen both of her previous films in theaters. I saw Pariah when it was first out in theaters, and I was very fortunate to be living in LA when Bessie came out, and so I saw a screening of it at LACMA, with a Q&A with her afterwards. She is such an intelligent, amazing filmmaker. I'm so glad that she got to make this amazing film. If you get a chance to see Mudbound in theaters, if it's playing in a market near you, definitely take that chance. You can see it on Netflix. Anyone who has Netflix can watch it, but it is so gorgeous and so luminous and so harrowing that I feel like you really should see it on the big screen if you can. The original screenplay was by Virgil Williams, and Dee Rees did some rewriting on it after it was brought to her by producer Cassian Elwes, and you can really feel her touches in it if you're familiar with her filmography. It follows several characters who find themselves bound together in a cotton farm in the Delta in Mississippi. And these characters are played by Carey, Mulligan, Garrett, Hedlund, Jason Clarke, Jason Mitchell, Mary J. Blige, Jonathan Banks, and Rob Morgan. Jonathan Banks is the villain, as much as there is a villain. Really, the villain is American racism and the Klan. I was not expecting the Klan to show up, but I probably should have. Clearly, I'm not from the South, so I'm sure if I was from the South, I would have been like, oh yeah, that's where that's heading, and it was gruesome. And but what was great about the film is it is very violent. It's very much rated R, but it shows both this in both the war scenes, which are some of the most, I think, authentic sort of battle sequences, authentic to an individual's experience in a battle sequence that I've seen filmed, and the violence of American racism, especially Southern American racism, because there is racism throughout this country, but the Klan and the sort of verbal violence and physical violence that this manifestation of racism has in the South is very well shown in this film. And it's so important to remember that, like, where we are now is not that far from where we were then, and that this is set during our grandparents' time. And even at the end of the film, Dee Rees thanks her grandmother and her grandmother's stories, which made me cry a little bit. I don't really want to talk about the plot because I didn't actually know the plot going in, and I felt like it's a better way to experience this film. So I really want to talk about the filmmaking. It's shot by Rachel Morrison, who shot Fruitvale Station, among other films, and she is working with, I just forgot his name. What's his name from Fruitvale Station again on Black Panther, so you can see her work. And her and Dee Rees and the production designer and the whole team were very much inspired by the WPA photographers of the 30s and 40s, including Walker Evans and Dorothea Lange. I recently got to see a great Walker Evans in Georgia exhibit here at the High Museum, and it was amazing. And while I was there, I bought this here book, and it is so good, and there's so many shots in here. I think I bookmarked one. This shot right here that made me think of several shots in the film. And this is a great book. It's got just amazing photography. Most of this is available, I think, on archives online, but it's the WPA did all these great, they did a lot of great things. They made these murals, they built things, they did a bunch of really great oral history that Lorraine Hansberry and some of those writers from the Harlem Renaissance worked on. They also did these amazing photography of America and various places, and their recreation of what I've seen in those photographs was so spot on. Just gorgeous, gorgeous production. I think this is an essential film. It's a hard film to watch, but it doesn't shy away from our country's true history and war's true the cost of war and the way in which our country will send people to war for our country, but then people will come back and the country doesn't give a shit about them, and how strange that is. Because we talk about veterans benefits a lot, but we don't often look at the way in which certain veterans were treated differently than other veterans, even though they all fought the same war. And this happened for multiple wars through the history, pretty much, of our country. There's one moment. Oh, I thought maybe the best chemistry I've seen in a film all year was between the bonding between Jason Mitchell and Garrett Hedlund. The two of them play the men who went off to war and who then come back and sort of find solace in each other. And slight spoilers, the sort of catastrophic event that causes the Klan to intervene and fuck everything up, as the Klan often does, is not, as you often see in a film, having anything to do with sex, but rather this friendship. Although kind of about sex, but that's it's a little of both. But the real kernel of it was that the Garrett Hedlund character would come back and treat this guy like a real person and like someone who deserved respect, because, spoiler alert, he does. And how his different views of people and of the world can't survive in the festering hatred of this part of the South and of this mindset of Southern people. Not that all Southern people had this mindset or have this mindset, but there's a certain insidiousness to the racism of the history of the South. It's sort of in the history of this country. It's all intertwined together. And I read this great book a few weeks ago by Langston Hughes called The Ways of White Folks that was all about the sort of subtle racism of the North. And I think our country has a lot of things that we refuse to look straight in the eye, and we tend to put it all in the South, but it's all over this country, and it's all over our history, and it's why we're still where we're at. And until we face these things head on, that's where we're going to be at. We'll just keep running in circles. And I think it's important to have filmmakers like Dee Rees, who has a very unique perspective and a very strong, clear voice to get to talk and say, like, this is how I see this country, and this is how my family have seen this country, and this is my history, and my history is our history. I think that's essential, and I'm grateful that she got to make this film. And so you should definitely check it out. It's on Netflix, and especially if it's in a theater near you, see it in the theater near you. It is gorgeous. Last two things I wanted to mention, because I already mentioned Garrett Hedlund and Jason Mitchell, who were great. Mary J. Blige, I believe, makes her screen debut, I think it's her screen debut. She's phenomenal as the mother in this. She is just heartbreaking and amazing and strong and wonderful. And last shout out to Carey Mulligan, my love. She is my favorite actress. I believe I've seen all of her movies. I think I'm missing a few like TV things she did in England early in her career. She has done nothing but great films and great performances since her big debut in Education, and she picks such amazing roles, and she's working with such interesting filmmakers. And if you haven't seen her filmography, like, just do greatest hits, because they're all of them are greatest hits. I love Carey Mulligan. So what was I going to say? This was Mudbound. It's just got released this weekend. Made a huge splash at Sundance. It's Dee Rees. She's amazing. Give her all the money. Let her make any movie she wants, because she can make any kind of movie. And if you haven't seen her previous movies, Bessie or Pariah, check them out too. Pariah will break your heart, and then it will set it free, and then it will soar, and you'll be a better person for it.